Language assessment can be a complex landscape to navigate for both educators and learners. While tests are intended to gauge proficiency and guide educational strategies, there are countless myths around how effective these assessments really are. These misconceptions can severely impact the way teachers assess their students, leading to skewed results, unnecessary stress, and even educational inequity. Inaccurate beliefs about assessments can result in missed opportunities for both teaching and learning, creating a system that fails to capture the true capabilities of students. But don't worry, I'm here to set the record straight. In today's video, I'm debunking the top 5 myths about language assessment to help you gain a clearer, more accurate understanding of assessment tools and practices. From the over-reliance on standardized tests to the under-evaluation of self-assessments, we're cutting through the myths to empower you as an educator. So let's dive in and get to the truth. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. Standardized tests have long been considered the gold standard for measuring language proficiency. But let's take a closer look at that. These tests often focus narrowly on specific elements such as vocabulary and grammar, without necessarily capturing a student's ability to communicate effectively in real-world scenarios. I mean, life isn't a multiple-choice test, right? Another issue to consider is the potential for cultural bias. Standardized tests are often created with a specific cultural context in mind, which can be problematic in diverse classrooms. We need to remember that language learning isn't a one-size-fits-all process. It's complex and varies from individual to individual. So if standardized tests aren't the end-all be-all, what are some alternatives? Portfolio assessments and proficiency-based evaluations can offer a more well-rounded view of a student's language skills. A portfolio can show a student's progression over time, capturing a range of skills and competencies. Proficiency-based evaluations, meanwhile, can help you assess how well a student can actually use the language in different contexts. These methods provide a fuller, more nuanced understanding of a student's abilities, going beyond the limitations of traditional standardized testing. When it comes to language assessment, there's this lingering myth that tests we administer are just measuring what students know, like vocabulary and grammar rules. But come on, we've all been in the classroom long enough to know that it's not that straightforward. An assessment is so much more than a vocabulary quiz. It can be a real window into a student's broader abilities. For instance, when a student is reading a passage and answering questions, we're not just checking if they know the words. We're assessing their comprehension skills, their ability to draw inferences, and even their problem-solving capabilities. Similarly, when we ask students to write an essay or participate in a dialogue, we get to evaluate their critical thinking, creativity, and conversational skills. It's multidimensional. That's why I'm all for diversified assessment strategies that capture the full range of language skills. A single test might tell you something about a student, but a variety of assessment types, like oral presentations, written assignments, and even peer evaluations, will give you a much more comprehensive view of their language proficiency. Plus, this approach helps students become more well-rounded communicators, which is the ultimate goal, isn't it? All right, let's talk about another myth that seems to be floating around. The idea that if we make assessments easier, we'll automatically see better learning outcomes. Now, I get the appeal. The logic seems to be that if tests are easier, students will score higher and everyone walks away feeling more confident. But the thing is, Language learning isn't about easy wins. It's about meaningful progress. Making tests too easy doesn't really challenge students, and without a challenge, there's limited growth. Think about your own learning experiences. The moments that stick out, the lessons that really lodged in your mind, probably came when you were pushed to your limits, within reason, of course. It's in grappling with complex tasks that we activate deeper cognitive skills and achieve long-term retention. One way to bring in the right level of challenge is through task-based or project-based assessments. For example, you could ask students to collaborate on a presentation about a cultural topic, which requires them to employ multiple language skills, from research and writing to speaking and listening. Or you might have them write a series of journal entries, which allows you to gauge their ability to express ideas and emotions in the target language over time. These kinds of assessments do more than test factual knowledge. They encourage deep understanding and ultimately make learning stick. Let's tackle another persistent myth, the belief that multiple choice tests are completely unbiased and objective. I mean, they're graded by machines, not humans, so they must be impartial, right? Not so fast. The reality is that the objectivity of any test is only as good as the questions themselves, and multiple choice questions can carry their own sets of issues. First off, poorly crafted questions can introduce bias, whether it's linguistic, cultural, or related to prior knowledge that not all students might have. And we all know students who have mastered the art of guessing in multiple choice settings, which doesn't really give us an accurate measure of their language skills. It's more like we're assessing their test-taking strategies than their actual language proficiency. So, should we throw out all multiple choice tests? No, but maybe let's diversify our assessment toolbox. Short answers or essays can provide more nuanced insights into a student's abilities. For example, asking students to summarize a passage in their own words requires a much deeper understanding than simply picking out a correct answer among options. In other words, let's make sure our assessments capture the complexity and nuances that language learning inevitably involves. There's more to it than just A, B, C, or D. Hungry for more insights on mastering the art of assessment? You're in the right place. We know that debunking myths is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to creating a powerful assessment strategy. That's why I've created the Assessment Academy, an in-depth program designed to arm you with the tools, techniques, and know-how to elevate your assessment game. From crafting more effective rubrics to diving deep into data analysis, the Assessment Academy has got you covered. Ready to join a community of CI teachers committed to excellence in assessment? Enroll in the Assessment Academy today at mm.us/academy. Trust me, it's a game changer. Last, but definitely not least, let's address the skepticism around self-assessments. Many educators dismiss them as unreliable because, let's be honest, students can either overestimate or underestimate their skills. But before we write off self-assessments entirely, let's consider their potential value when done right. The truth is, self-assessments can be pretty insightful when they're well designed and implemented thoughtfully. It's about crafting questions that encourage reflection and honesty. We're not talking about asking students, "Do you think you're good at Spanish?" but more along the lines of, "Can you order food in a restaurant in Spanish?" or "How comfortable do you feel discussing past events in Spanish?" The point is to focus on actionable, observable skills. Another benefit of self-assessments is that they encourage metacognition, basically getting students to think about their own thinking. This can be incredibly useful for both the learner and the teacher. For example, if a student consistently rates their listening comprehension as low, that's a signal for you to perhaps incorporate more listening exercises into your teaching. So don't dismiss self-assessments outright. Instead, view them as a complementary tool in your broader assessment strategy. They can offer an extra layer of insight that traditional assessments might miss and can be particularly useful for tailoring your teaching approach to meet individual needs. All right, folks, there we have it. The top myths about language assessment shattered. I hope this has given you some much needed clarity and inspiration to rethink your assessment approaches. If you found this video valuable, and let's be real, if you're passionate about teaching, how could you not? Then don't forget to hit that like button. Your engagement helps more educators like us find this content. Oh, and if you're really keen on diving deeper into the world of assessment, don't forget to check out our Assessment Academy. Seriously, it's like a treasure trove of expertise on everything from rubrics to student engagement. The link's down in the description. Subscribe if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video with your fellow educators. Remember, the first step to improving our teaching practices is debunking the myths that hold us back. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy comprehensible input.